Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about a fellow Patriot, Patriot Nurses' recent video about traditionalism and the OD of woke culture and stuff like that. So basically, I was on YouTube a few days ago, and I heard somebody say something about I think it was this video that they were referencing and stuff like that about how it was supposedly like anti-trans or something like that, and I was like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. And I'm pretty sure this is the same video. It's this video particularly is titled. Let me go ahead and grab the screen share here for it. Said, what happens after a culture ODs on wokeness, the new counterculture. So, but yeah, my assumption, honestly, and by the way, this is all fair use stuff right now. We're not going to tell you anything right now, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same video. Um, of that people were referencing here. So, but the whole point I'm trying to make is that you have it's not going to load for some reason now. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, the entire point I'm trying to make though is that if you actually watch this video of Patriot Nurses, it's about 11 and a half minutes, give or take, a little over that. And all she really talks about, she discusses a few different topics. She talks about the wokeness in our country and our culture for like the last 20 years or so. She discusses the founding of this country and what our founding fathers based our nation upon, and our constitutional republic and everything else like that, etc., and what a actual democracy is versus a constitutional republic, and a few other things along those lines is what it is, man. So, and not once does she mention the word trans or transgender, dude. So anybody that claims that that's her shitting on transgender people or whatever the case be is probably not all there in the head, is my guess, honestly, dude. So, but anywho, the entire point I'm trying to make though is that yeah, it's fucking silly and sort of stupid, honestly, because of the fact that you have people trying to like basically make up shit that ain't even there, dude. And the whole point of it is that what she's actually discussing is just like, yeah, this is why you're seeing this counterculture emerge now and stuff like that. And I can tell you that firsthand, by the way. You see it in whether it be the Florida legislation for the parental rights bill down there, whether it be a similar version here in Ohio. It doesn't really matter, dude. People are finally waking up to the disgusting shit that's being pushed upon their kids and stuff, and they're sick and tired of it, dude, is what it is. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing in this country right now. And I think that's what we're going to continue to see in this country in the foreseeable future is going to be stuff like that where people are just not having it anymore, dude. And the thing is, when you look at traditionalism, you look at, traditional marriage, whatever it is there, dude, doesn't really matter. There's a lot of things that could be considered traditionalism, by the way, whether it be traditional marriage, whether it be fucking, having a mother, father, kids, etc., traditional family, everything like that. And I think that's the problem with a lot of this wokeness is what it is, dude, is that, you have people who don't care enough or who are actively trying to undermine, the rest of us is what it is. And so they'll sit there and claim like something is something when in reality it's actually something else entirely. And the sad part of it is, when people fall for that shit, it ends up being something exactly what Patriot Nurse was talking about in that video, which is you have people basically grasping for anything at this point, and whether it be like the strongest man possible kind of thing, whatever it is, dude. And the thing is, I've said it before, I'll say it again though. I never fall for that shit, dude. I never fall into that kind of camp, is what it is, simply because of the fact that there is no reason to. And as I've said before, honestly, if we were to do things the correct way right now in this country's history, it would be us. It would be the patriots of this fucking country, the constitutionalists of this fucking country, actually running for office ourselves right now, primarying everybody out is what it is, dude. Would everybody start fresh is what it is, dude, because that's the thing right now. Like, we need a full reset is what it is right now, dude, entirely. And whether that be going back to square one with brand new individuals in office or whatever the case be, it doesn't really matter. And I think the problem right now is that people don't want to go down that road because they understand if they do go down that road, that it's going to be a situation where it might not be something that they end up liking at the end of the day or something similar for that matter. And I think that's the problem right now with so many people in America is instead of actually embracing, traditionalism or, whatever it is, They just want to sit there and shit on our fucking society, and then meanwhile it's indoctrinate the kids and stuff like that, dude. And that's the thing. Even Oklahoma, there, we're seeing that there, man. You had that one. It was the dude who was I forget what his name is offhand, but it was basically the guy the other day I talked about on these chats and stuff, where it was he had found this guy who was named Tyler Wynn, who was working for their education department there, and this Tyler guy was legitimately pushing fucking garbage on the kids, is what it was, dude. He was pushing stuff that was not allowed to be taught in the school systems and doing it anyway, even though because he's like, oh, I don't fucking care really, is what it is. And that's the problem, dude. It's these people that don't care. They don't give a fuck about your kids. They want to indoctrinate your kids to become these little communist soldiers, what it is, dude, at the end of the day. And I'll tell you what, man, I think a lot of people have finally had it with that kind of shit, dude. I know I fucking have. I had with that shit a long ass fucking time ago, dude. Because my thinking is, it's like, when you're having these people go down that road of just like, full blown, essentially socialism and communism, it's like, nah, bro, fuck you. Seriously, it's ridiculous entirely to allow that kind of crap to continue on and fester on, is what it is, man. When there's never a reason for that to be a thing. So, yeah, it's a whole thing. But like I said, from what I saw in that video, yeah, Patriot Nurse never said a fucking word about, any of that kind of shit. It was just a whole thing of like, yeah, this is what fucking society is like right now, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how we're basically, like, in my opinion, she was basically saying this is how we stop from running off a cliff, She didn't actually say that in it, but that's basically what I reference is what it is, dude. So, and yeah, I believe it's true. And I believe we will see the death of globalism in our lifetime, hopefully. And eventually it will become traditionalism and stuff like that, dude. And as it should be. There's no reason for it not to be at this point, man. There's zero fucking reason for it not to be right now. When you can easily have a much better society and a much better country where people actually care about their fellow man and people actually give a fuck about, what is happening within our nation, is what it is. And when we can finally get to that point in history, we can actually do something for the betterment of our society, dude, is what it is. And I think, truthfully, when that happens, you're going to see a shift in this country that is going to be very much a new form of a constitutional republic. And when that happens, people are going to be like, whoa. And whether that mean, like whether that be people finally waking up to just like the insanity of everything and being like, no, we're going to push back against this bullshit. Like, fuck you guys. Or whatever the case be, man. Like, it really doesn't matter, honestly. But I think, truthfully, like, yeah, when you have people, whether it be individuals like Jazz Jennings and stuff like that trying to push a bunch of fucking transgender crap in schools and stuff like that, dude, it's like, nah, bro, fuck you. Seriously. And the thing is, it goes to a point where, like Patriot Nurse was saying, when you start ODing on wokeness, dude, like eventually it just becomes a whole shit show, is what it is. And people just aren't having it after that, dude. And nor should they have to, And I think, truthfully, like that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the counterbalance, is what it is. We're seeing the pushback from society saying, no, fuck you, get out of here with that shit, dude. Like, we don't want it on us, we don't want it on our kids, is what it is, man. Like, if you want to live that fucking lifestyle, go on ahead, bro. But it ain't our fucking lifestyle. We ain't gonna let you push that shit on our children, is what it is. So, anyway. But yeah, like I said, I think we're definitely heading towards a precipice in this country's history right now where eventually you will see the pendulum swing. And, I don't know exactly what that's going to look like right now. It could be anything, honestly. It could be an election cycle. It could be fucking a bunch of other stuff for all the fuck we know. I'm hoping, honestly, it doesn't take actual violence in the streets for something to change. Because that's what I fear, honestly, as a society right now, is just a bunch of crazy shit like that happening and then people just going insane, is what it is, dude. And if that is the case, like, yeah, that's what we don't want, honestly. So, but yeah, my feeling on the whole situation though is, if it takes a bunch of people, finally just waking up to the situation and the issues and stuff like that, dude, like that's what it takes. But if people just want to sit there and, fuck around or whatever and not care and, do whatever is what it is, man, like that's on them. My feeling is, again, it's an unnecessary situation where, you know, when you had really mental institutions in this country back in the day dealing with things the correct way, and people finally woke up and realized, like, oh, okay, you know, like they understood, like, yeah, at some point you have to deal with fucking insanity, is what it is, dude. And when we're not dealing with insanity as a country right now, and we haven't been dealing with it that way for a long ass time now, all that runs wild is a bunch of fucking nuts, is what it is, dude. I'd also like to point out something when it does come to transgenderism, actually in general, is there was a time period in history where the DSM-4, I believe is what it was, all the way up DSM-4, actually labeled transgenderism as gender dysphoria, and like some variation of it there is. And it wasn't until like the DSM-5 or 6 or whatever it is now that you actually had them change that and take that out, because again, it was all these people pushing back is what it was, dude. It was all these people that were gender dysphoric and stuff like that were pushing against that and being like, no, we're not insane or anything like that. And it's like, I don't know about that, bro. Like, like seriously, man, like pretty sure if you're pushing insane shit, like, I don't know, maybe you're fucking nuts, you know? But yeah, it is what it is, man. But like I said, honestly, like I think we're definitely seeing the beginnings of something right now. And, whether that be actual, you know, counterculture to go back to more traditionalism or whatever it be, man. I believe it's starting overseas at this point, and that's a big thing, right? Like, it's kind of like one of those return to sender things where it's, America started it off back in the 1700s and stuff with our revolution, and then it became, French Revolution after that, et cetera, down the line. And I think now it's almost becoming the opposite way, except it's not like, violent, bloody revolutions. It's fucking people waking up and being like, no, we're just not dealing with this woke garbage anymore, dude. We're sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of having it pushed on our fucking, on us and our kids and our grandkids and everything else like that, is what it is, man. And I think, truthfully, a lot of people have finally woken up to that. And I'm glad about that, dude, because you have the ability for people to get it, is what it is, man. And when you have, Americans finally embracing, things that they otherwise maybe wouldn't have previous to that, and we finally see, we finally see the actual rising of traditional values again. That's exactly what America needs, honestly, right now, I think. And when we don't have that kind of stuff, that's exactly why we die as a country, dude. And unfortunately, when people don't want to actually go down that road and down that, route and stuff like that, and just want to sit there and fuck off and stuff like that and be all, butthurt and pansy asses about things or whatever, and be all like, oh no, but you're totally violently coming after me, except we're not at all, is what it is, dude. And that's the thing. Like I've said for some time now, I'm to the mindset of like live and let live kind of shit. And it's like, yeah, if you want to go do whatever, dude, like you do whatever. Just don't push it on the fucking kids, is what it is, man. Like that's the only problems I have with these fucking people, man. It's like I don't want that shit pushed on my kids or my fucking grandkids or my nieces or my nephews or anything like that, dude. Because there's no reason for it to be. And when you're gonna continue to push that shit down the fucking people's throats like that, dude, like expect pushback, is what it is. And some people are gonna be more about like the pushback than other people are gonna be. Some are gonna be like, no, fuck you kind of thing. Some are gonna be like, no, fuck off kind of thing, is what it'd be. So anyway, like I said, to me it's whatever at this point. Um I'm to the point, of in history right now of it's like, if you want to live your, like I said, if you want to live your life in a certain way or whatever the case be, that's fine, but don't sit here and try to say that that's fucking societal norms, dude, because it's not. And that's the thing. you know? Like, I guarantee you, if you talk to anybody right now and you ask a broad brush of people across the board and be like, okay, is this traditional? And they'd be like, no, that is 100% like what is considered to be woke culture and stuff like that. Like, if you give them a definition of each of those topics and you ask which one that fell under, I guarantee 99% of the fucking time they'd be like, oh yeah, it's this thing. And they'd be right about that, dude. Because it doesn't fall under traditionalism. It falls under very much, you know, alternate lifestyles and stuff like that. And again, if you want to live your life in an alternate lifestyle, by all means, bro, go on ahead. But again, don't be surprised when people sit back and are like, that ain't fucking, that's weird, bro. You know, like some people say that ain't right, bro. And some people say that's just fucking weird, dog, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, some cases people might get fucking antsy about it and stuff like that. You never know, man. But anyway, that's pretty much where we're at for the end of the day, though. I feel like, truthfully, like I said, I think we're coming to that precipice in human history right now where people are finally had enough, is what it is, dude. People have finally had enough. People are finally, you know, waking up to the wokeness, is what it is. And when it's all said and done, you're going to end up having a very interesting outcome, I believe, in society in the coming years, because it is people that will continue on and be the, you know, next generation and generation after that, etc., of our society that will have kids, that will, you know, have a legacy to live on and stuff like that, versus the people who won't, is what it is. And unfortunately, I think that's what a lot of these people are angry about right now, is the fact that they don't have, you know, that family to lean back on. They don't have that actual, you know, ability to have children, to reproduce, whatever the case be. And because of that, they're pushing back against the people that do. And, you know, they're trying to make up all kinds of fucking words and phrases and stuff for the rest of us that actually do want traditionalism and stuff, dude. And in reality, it's like, nah, bro, this is just how it should be, is what it is. And again, you know, like I said, if people want to sit there and live their lives, whatever, that's up to them. It's not up to me, man. My thing is, as long as you're over 18, whatever, just stop pushing it at the kids, bro. And there ain't going to be an issue. But that's the problem. You've had people push the shit at the kids for so long. It's like, no, bro, fuck you at this point. You know, seriously. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Is it's the final pushback, and that's even what Patriot Nurse kind of, you know, reference, was the whole thing of like, you know, the essentially pushing at the children is what it is, dude. And she's right about that. And personally, that's why I'm voting in favor, and why I'm actually discussing with my state lawmakers here about, like, yeah, this is what we need to do, and this is how we need to do it, kind of thing, when it comes to that parental rights bill, and multiple parental rights bills for that matter. Because again, honestly, there is zero fucking reason in 2022 for any parent to not have the right to know what their kids are learning in schools, dude. To not have the right to be able to opt out of something that their kids are going to be taught, dude. Like, if they're against a fucking 10-year-old learning about sex shit or whatever the case be, that's on them, and they should have the right to do that because they are the parent, and that child has no legal fucking rights under the age of 18 is what it is, dude. Because they're still a legal minor is what it is, dude. And that's the entire point of the whole thing. And I think that's where a lot of people have gotten everything, you know, fluxed up right now is what it is, dude, because they don't understand that, yeah, you don't have rights until a certain age, dude. You don't have rights until you're a legal adult, unless you're an emancipated minor for that matter. And that's a different story altogether. And we can get to that all day long and stuff like that, of like, you know, the difference between the two, obviously. But the big thing there is, again, it becomes a situation of, you know, at what point do we actually just stop putting up with this kind of crap, dude, is what it is. And I think, truthfully, that point in time in history has already come and gone. And I think we're finally seeing the fallout of that, is what it is. And I'm actually glad, honestly, because, again, when people finally woke up to shit and they're like, oh my God, this is what they're teaching our children? Like, what the fuck? You know? And when they figure that out, they're just like, damn, dude, like, why were we fucking asleep at the wheel or something here? Like, damn, like, how the hell did this become a thing, kind of thing, is what it was, dude. And I think, truthfully, in a lot of cases, that's what it was, honestly. It was so many parents that were just asleep at the wheel is what it was, that they didn't know what the hell was really going on in these school systems until it was, you know, slapped in their faces when the 2020 lockdowns happened, dude. And honestly, that's the only good thing that came out of the whole thing, was you had the ability for these parents to now wake up and learn and realize, like, hey, there's some fucked up shit going on at these school systems. Like, it's time to stop this crap, dude. And thankfully now that's why we have parental rights bills going through multiple state legislators, and why we have actual, legislation being pressed upon the books right now that is going to be what is necessary to keep these kids from falling prey to some sick son of a bitch, is what it is, dude. And I'm glad about that, honestly, because again, as someone who has, family in these school systems, and I'm not talking about just my niece and nephew, I have a lot of younger cousins too that are also in these school systems being taught this crap, dude. And I would like to see this shit happen in other states, honestly. Because again, there is zero fucking reason for any of this shit to be anywhere, dude. When you could easily have a better go to and go through and everything else like that, dude. Where we actually had a better country of traditional values and stuff like that, and actual constitutionalism being taught to these kids in schools instead of fucking gender ideology or some kind of other bullshit, is what it is, dude. That doesn't even make any sense to be in there to begin with. So, like I said, though, at this point, I'm just like waiting for the shit to go down, man. I'm actually just waiting for everything to happen right now. And I think we're heading to that point very soon. And I think we're going to head to a point right now in history where people have finally had it, dude. They have finally had enough of it. And I'm glad to see that, honestly. Because when the day comes where you actually have people who are just finally done with all of it, dude, and they're like, no, you're not putting this shit on our kids, you're not pushing any of this crap on our children, dude, etc. It's gonna be one of the best days in history, dude, because you're gonna finally see a revolution of sorts from the perspective of everything right now. And it's finally going to be a time where you're going to actually be able to see what's happening to this country. And finally, people are going to wake up to the fact that we have let things slip far, far too much right now. And I think finally, when that comes to that factoid and things and everything else like that, you're going to actually see a very, very interesting nation after the fact. And it's going to be because of the fact that people are finally like, what the fuck happened here? And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see that happen, dude. And I think when it does, there's going to be a real big fucking change in things, dude. There's going to be a huge change coming. And I think it's going to hit a lot of people in the face to where they're not going to understand it, dude. And I think there's going to be some others that will understand some of it, but even they won't be able to wake up to the whole fact, is what it is, dude. So, But like I said, that's pretty much where we're at for the day, though. Really, this was just to talk about what was going on there with that Patriot Nurse video and stuff like that. And I thought it was interesting that, you have some people falsely claiming that she's talking about a bunch of other stuff. In reality, she's just talking about traditionalism, is what it is. And yeah, my thing is right now, as someone who is very traditional when it comes to certain things and what have you, I can understand where she's coming from. There's no, and the thing, like I said before, dude, there's fucking zero reason to ever be pushing certain fucking things on children unless you're trying to do stuff that's not right at all, dude. And I think that's a lot of the problem right now with our society, is that you have these people that are trying to do that, and people are finally having enough of it, and they're like, no, you're not doing that shit, go fuck off, dude. So, and I'm glad to see that, honestly, because it won't be until that final pushback finally comes to where people are going to be like, no, this is not okay, bro. And I think that's the thing right now. There really does need to be a line drawn in the fucking sand, dude, when it comes to things. And I think we're finally seeing that line being drawn in the sand right now. And it's like, yeah, when you're fucking with people's children, dude, like, it's no bueno, bro. And nor should it ever be, honestly. Because again, like, that's not your kid. You know, that's not your child to fuck around with, dude. That's not your child to sit there and fucking indoctrinate or whatever the case be. And when you're doing that at a mass level as a teacher and stuff like that, or supposedly as a teacher and stuff, like, no, you just don't need to have a job anymore, is what it is, dude. And it's really as simple as that, honestly, you know? And I think that's what we're seeing right now. And I'm glad to see that, honestly, because it allows for people to finally be able to wake up and be like, no, man, like, this is not okay. This is not okay, and it never was. And finally, we're going to see, like I said, it'll be, you know, and that's the thing. Tim Pool's talked about that quite a bit as well when it comes to, you know, the Cultural Revolution and stuff like that, or the, I know Alex Jones is talking about it too as well for years now with the counterculture thing and everything else like that. And like the culture war that we've been facing for years and shit now that people just are finally waking up to like several years back now. And I think that's true. I think we've seen that for a long time now. And I think we're finally seeing people wake up and be like, oh, okay, this is what they were talking about, kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, exactly. And I think when we finally see it come to fruition and stuff in the near future, you're going to see a lot of people that would be like, oh, okay, so this is what they were talking about. Interesting, interesting. And yeah, when it comes to that kind of deal overall, that's when you're going to end up seeing, you know, something else happen. And you're going to see people who are like, wait, what? And then it'll be a situation there of, it'll be not only traditionalism, you know, breaking through the barriers and everything else like that. It'll be a bunch of other things too as well. That would be, you know, what's best for America as a whole is what it would be. So, but yeah, that's pretty much where we're at for the day, though. Like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will be back for another one at some point, either tomorrow or probably like Monday, Tuesday, maybe. I'm not sure right now. Um, it all depends. I've been having the only reason I'm doing this one right now, actually, and have done these last couple here in the morning here, is that I had some my sleep schedule's been really off lately. You know, I've been getting a few hours here and there, and then I'll wake up and realize, oh, I'm actually awake again, and then it'll be a thing where it's like, you know, I'll be up for 6, 7 hours, whatever it is, and then I'll be tired again. I'll go back to sleep for a few more hours, is what it is, and then I wake up again. And it's like a shifting cycle, basically. Not fun at all, because it's basically put me into a weird flux state, I guess is what I'd say best, of this weird, like, it's not really like a constant alertness or anything like that, but it's just like an odd, like, I don't know exactly where the hell I am at a given time right now, is what it is. You know, I don't know, like, exactly where, like, what the day is anymore, kind of thing, because it's like everything is starting to blend together, is what it ends up being. So, yeah, not a good thing on that perspective of stuff. But overall, though, very interesting to see what is happening in this country. Um, you know, through a few things here and there. So, like I said, it'll be very interesting to see what comes from everything in the near future and stuff. So, yeah, when things start to change, that's when you're going to start seeing a lot of crazy shit happen in this country, dude. And I think, truthfully, when we've gone down a road in human history right now where everybody sees what is happening and a few people are waking up to it and realizing, like, okay, this is not okay, kind of thing, versus others who are waking up and still being kind of asleep to it, though, is what it is. If that makes sense. Like they're like partially waking up, but not really. And they're still like in that daze of just like, okay, this is all normal behavior. This is okay. Like, it's perfectly fine to see these things happen here, etc., etc., etc. And in reality, it's like, no, it's not. And, you know, I think eventually that's what you're going to see happen with people, and they're going to be in a time period where you're going to have a lot of interestingness happen in a short amount of time now. And I think that's what we're starting to see right now, is you're seeing a lot of things happening with traditionalism and with um, other similar things happening in this country across the board right now, to where eventually it will be something that nobody really sees coming, you know what I'm saying? And I think when it does finally come, that's when you end up having a situation of real crazy shit. And when that real crazy shit happens, that's when we're actually going to be in a time period of, oh, okay, that was interesting. And yeah, I think that's when you'll actually see like the differences happen in this country, will be that time period where people are like, oh, that was unexpected kind of thing, or whatever the case be. But yeah, like I said, I think we're definitely heading towards that time right now. And I think when that time comes, what you'll end up seeing is a fair amount of people who realize, oh, that's what we were experiencing. Okay. And when that happens, it'll be a whole situation of a brand new day, basically, because people will finally realize and wake up and be like, oh, that was, not what I was expecting to see happen here. I'm glad it did happen. And then other people would be like, wait a minute now. And yeah, I think you're going to see a bunch. I think you'll see multiple factions sort of split off in that time period, where some will be more about like, oh, okay, cool, like this is what we wanted the whole time kind of thing. And there'll be others that would be like, that ain't cool, bro, kind of thing. And then there'll be probably like another camp that'll just be someplace in the middle is what it would be then. So, but like I said, I think we're definitely heading towards a time where you're going to start seeing cultural shifts more and more in this country. And I think the more it happens, the more that we are getting back to traditionalism as a whole, and the more that we allow for, America to thrive as a traditionalist nation and as a, values nation and stuff like that, the better off we would be as a country, and the less we would be wanting to balkanize then. Unfortunately, like I said, I think there's still a subset of people in this country, and they are, like I said before, when it comes to stuff, it's the squeak wheel gets the grease mentality there, where you will always have like some small faction of people who, are the loudest, essentially minority at that point, of like leftist bullshit is what it is, and they'll be shouting at the top of their lungs for, abortion on demand and without consequence or something stupid like that. And unfortunately, you'll have stupid people that are voted into office by these morons that will continue to push that kind of crap. And thankfully, there'll be a lot more people that'll be against that kind of shit. And you'll end up having people that will finally be like, no, bro, like, fuck you kind of thing. And when that happens, hopefully it'll be, the end of something great and the beginning of something even better is what it is, dude. Where you finally have people wake up and be like, no, this is not how it's supposed to be, man. This is not how it's supposed to be at all. It's time to do things differently. And it means, going back to a traditional mindset and a traditional marriage and stuff like that kind of deal. And when you finally have people that wake up after that and realize, like, okay, this is how it was supposed to be the whole time, that's when you end up having a better nation overall then. And I think truthfully that's what we're experiencing very quickly here is what it'll be, is that people will finally wake up and be like, oh, okay, so this is how it was supposed to be the whole time kind of thing. And then other people would be, you know, pushing something else for that matter. And in some cases, you will have definitely a pushback is what it'll be. And you'll have, that push and pull, or that, pendulum swing mentality that will end up taking us into different directions. And maybe that leads to something. Maybe that leads to conflict. Maybe that leads to something else for that matter. Maybe it leads to a balkanization event kind of thing. You never know. And I think truthfully, the longer that we go right now as a whole, And the longer that we go without something, the more and more that people are finally waking up and being like, hey, what the fuck, you know? And I think we're going to see something happen very soon in this country. I don't know what it'll be yet. I have no idea, honestly. I really don't. I have no fucking clue what it'll look like, honestly. I think a lot of us will be able to see it when it happens, though. And, you know, personally, in my opinion, I would love to see some kind of full blown mass awakening event where it is everybody finally just wakes up to what the fuck has been going on for decades now. And we finally just have, you know, a peaceful transition of power, hopefully, because you just have mass arrests of individuals for the crimes they've committed at this point. Unfortunately, I think there'll be a lot of people that will be, you know, working for these individuals that they won't allow that to happen because they will be getting a paycheck, they'll be getting fed and everything else like that. And that's a big thing too, by the way. When you look at the military, you know, people talk about military firing on its own people and stuff like that and have for years now. I could see that happening. And I could see it happening from a perspective of the fact that you have a bunch of people who, you know, potentially would be well fed for a while. And, you know, when you're able to feed people and actually have something where you're, you know, people are being fed on a regular basis and stuff like that and being able to thrive and shit, like that's one thing. It's a whole other thing when you can no longer feed those individuals and they're like, well, you can't feed me, so fuck you, kind of thing is what it is, dude. And that's when they start joining the other side, is what it is, man. And I think that's what we're starting to see right now in history is that kind of a thing starting to spring up where people are waking up and realizing it's like, yeah, you can't feed me, bro. You can't even feed yourself, kind of thing. And when that happens and when that continues to go down and stuff like that, that's when you're going to see a lot of different changes happen in this country. And I think, truthfully, that's when you're going to see a lot of people finally wake up and realize, like, oh, this was a bunch of bullshit the whole fucking time, kind of thing. And it's all just a house of cards ready to fall, is what it is. And then the house of cards finally falls, is what it is, man. So, yeah. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for right now to see happen, is that just house of cards to fall on itself right now. And I think when it does, it'll be very, very interesting because it'll show really how badly our country was being propped up for so long. And it'll also show just the various crap, is what it is, that's coming through everything. So, but yeah, I think we're definitely heading towards a time period in human history right now where it's going to be events that we've never seen unfold before this. And I think when we finally do see the events unfold in front of our eyes, that's when people are going to start getting scared. And that's when people are going to start doing irrational things that are not okay, bro. And that's the one thing I kind of fear right now, is just that irrationality of certain individuals right now. And they know who they are. I don't need to name them by name. And I think, unfortunately, those are going to be the people that are going to be the most dangerous of all, because they would be the ones to start doing, you know, all kinds of psychotic shit or whatever the case be to maintain, you know, power and order and everything else like that, is what it is, dude. And, you know, that's why I don't ever say anything's not on the table right now, because when you look at everything that we've seen in the past, you know, 15 years or so in this country's history, you're seeing that there is so many things that are still on the table that shouldn't be. And it's just a scary situation, man, when you start looking into a lot of it. And unfortunately, when people are going to go full blown psychotic nut and allow for, you know, all kinds of insanity to fucking flourish and shit like that, it's a bad day. It's a bad day, man. And yeah, it's going to be, I'm going to say it like this. I think you're going to see things get a lot worse before they get better. And I'm hoping that they get better at some point in the near future. And if that happens, awesome. If that doesn't happen, you know, so be it, kind of thing is what it is. I would personally love to see certain things happen right now that I think other people would not want to see happen. And I think there's a lot of other things that, you know, maybe should happen, but haven't happened quite yet. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when certain things do happen. Obviously, I'm talking in circles at this point because I'm only half paying attention to what the hell's even going on right now, dude. But no, seriously though, nah, for real though. No, I think we're seriously are heading towards a time period though where you're going to see a lot of things that would be otherwise, looked at as basically okay, that's kind of interesting or that's kind of, not whatever. And then there'll be other stuff where people are like, "No, bro, that shit don't fly around here," kind of thing. And that'll be when you actually have people finally wake up and be like, "Yeah, that's not okay," kind of deal. And I think that's kind of what we're heading towards right now. Actually, is that kind of a deal where it's people being like, "Yeah, it was okay for a while, but now we're not okay with it," kind of thing is what it is, dude. And other people would be like, "I've never been okay with this kind of thing," and et cetera, et cetera. Actually, I was having a conversation with some people here in the past few days and stuff like that, and they were all discussing, various things about different things and topics and what have you. And it was um, how you have so many people, it seems like, that will just go basically insane when it comes to certain things, and then other individuals who it seems like don't really care what happens as long as it happens, kind of thing, if that makes any sense. And I think that's what we're starting to see more and more of is just people who, don't really care or who want to keep pushing, certain topics and stuff as if it's, normal behavior and everything else like that, when in reality it's really not normal behavior. And other people are just like, you know what, fuck that, dude. Like, fuck that. And like I said, going back full circle to what Patriot Nurse was saying about, wokeism and ODing on wokeism and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I think we've seen that happen in the last, I would say 5 years or so. And it was really, that's why we got Trump in 2016, because you had so many Americans being so fucking sick and tired of just the insanity running amok in our society. And people in Hollywood, etc., want to keep pushing that shit, dude. And when you keep pushing that kind of insanity and ideology and everything else like that, dude, like expect for pushback to happen. Expect for people to finally, flip general assemblies and stuff like that to what they want it to be is what it is, man. And I think that's what we're starting to see a lot more of, especially here in Ohio and other states, dude, where you're seeing, supermajority red and stuff like that. And actually, I was watching something last night. It was a video out of North Carolina. It was one of their local news stations, and they were talking about the amount of abortions that have gone up in the state since everything happening with Roe versus Wade being overturned. And it's because North Carolina is one of these sick, disgusting bastions of baby murder, is what it is, dude. Because of that piece of shit Roy Cooper is what it is. And I think you're going to see a lot more people finally wake up in North Carolina in the coming months and weeks and stuff like that, dude. To where hopefully, when it's all said and done, you can see North Carolina flipping to a red majority, is what it is, dude. And if that be the case, because they were even talking about that in that news station and stuff, they said if that happens, you're going to see them push rightfully a ban on abortion in that state, as it should be. And that's my thing, dude. I think that's the real problem. You have so many people who, again, like I said earlier, want to sit there and shout their abortions. And again, it's not a whole bunch. It's not really a whole bunch of people, dude. It's like it's a few individual females, is what it is, dude. That just happen to collectively be here and there, and a few dozen here and there is what it is. That come to be a few hundred is what it ends up being, maybe a few thousand at most. And then you have a few, cuck ass beta male motherfuckers out there who want to sit there and fucking be like, "Oh, I'm totally on board with this," mostly because they want to get pussy, is what it is. And the entire point is, in reality, they're just a bunch of fucking nuts too, is what it is, dude. And honestly, going back to Patriot Nurses thing, I wouldn't be surprised if she was talking about them individuals being in nut houses, honestly, dude. Because that's the truth, dude. When you look at what, like, seriously, I used to do a series on this channel called Make America Sane Again, and there's a reason for that, dude, because you look at the insane fucking shit that has been pushed by leftists and Democrats and everything else like that, dude, for the last, again, since Obama's administration 15, 20 years ago, you know? And it's like fucking insane, dude. Well, actually, technically 20 years ago was Bush's administration, but, like 14, 15 years ago was Obama's, though. So pretty close. But yeah, it's like you started seeing it, I think, in Bush's administration because of globalism and shit like that, and Bilderberg's influence over Bush and everything like that. And then you continue to see it ramp up under Obama, is what it was, dude. And it ramped like a motherfucker under Obama. And again, that's why people were like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, fuck you," kind of thing. And when you look at it from the perspective and realize that Barack Obama's a fucking pedophile who is actively molesting children to this day, you understand that, yeah, this guy's just a sick piece of shit in general, dude. And I mean that seriously when I say that. That's not just me making claims, dude. That's literally Chrissy Teigen, actress and wife of John Legend, outed herself, her husband John Legend, and Obama as pedophiles in multiple tweets on Twitter like 5-6 years ago about this shit, dude. Where she literally talked about them having fucking orgies with kids, man. And then, of course, went on a whole Twitter delete spree is what it was, dude. And there's actually evidence of that all over the internet right now. At least there used to be anyway. I don't know if it's still there or not. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually started to go in there and deep dive out entire things to make sure it doesn't exist anymore. But it was there at one point, dude. So yeah, it's just crazy, though, is what it is, dude. And like I said, when you have that kind of fucking lunacy going on consistently and people don't understand, like, yeah, this is not okay and this is fucked up behavior and stuff like that, dude. That's when you're starting to see pushback against that kind of stuff, and rightfully so. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more of it the longer that we go as a country. And I'm glad about that because, again, why would we want that shit to be fucking considered normal behavior, dude? When it's not. It's disgusting fucking perversion is what it is, dude. And it's not okay to fucking, fuck around with kids and stuff, dude. And like I said, going back to one of the chats I talked about yesterday with Rakita Law and stuff like that, dude, when you have that dude being yanked from YouTube because of some bullshit fucking false flagging campaign thing, it's a bunch of crap entirely, dude. And I hope Rakita takes these fuckers all to the cleaners at this point, dude, whether it be YouTube itself or whether it be fucking, Keffels and all those fucking little minions and shit like that, dude, because all those people are sick fucks is what it is, dude, for real. I mean, hell, you've already had at least one of the people realize and wake up and be like, "Oh shit, I fucked up," and realize they're like, "I'm on the wrong side of history on this one, bro," kind of thing. And it's like, yes, you are, motherfucker. And that was the whole point, dude. It was a situation there where you had individuals basically thinking that they were doing, the right thing or whatever. In reality, they were doing the way wrong thing, is what it was. So. But yeah, like I said, I think we're definitely heading towards a precipice in history right now where you're going to start seeing some interesting pushback. And I think when you see that pushback happen and people wake up and realize and they're just like, oh, that's what was coming the whole time kind of thing, that's when you're going to start seeing, various things happen. Then is what it'll be. And I think truthfully, when that becomes a thing and you start beginning to see all the craziness happen and everything like that, dude, that's when you're going to start seeing individuals realize and wake up and be like, oh shit, kind of thing is what it is, dude. So, yeah, I think we're definitely heading towards that time period right now in history, right now in this country's history, to where people are finally had enough of it, is what it is, dude. And I think it's finally to that point where when people have finally had enough, when people have finally, realized like, hey, this shit is not okay kind of thing, that's when we're going to finally see an interesting perspective of things happen. And it's when we're finally going to see, I believe, truthfully, the best of humanity emerge is what it'll be. And it will be very much a very interesting day when it becomes a thing. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the end of the day. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I'll be back for another one at some point in the future. I don't know exactly when it will be exactly. Probably in the next few days. I'm not exactly sure when right this second, but yeah, it'll be at some point though. And when we're doing different things here and there and we're talking about different topics, it'll definitely be an interesting take on some things. So either way, hopefully you guys enjoy this episode, and I will see you all in the next one.